I am from very humble beginnings. I'm a girl who literally was born and raised in a mud hut in Zimbabwe. I was born in a mud hut and raised in that mud hut with no running water and no electricity. And the dream growing up for me was that one day I would live in a nice house and drive a nice car, go to school, all of those things that are the dreams of all of us. And that through so much. It's such a long story that would take way too much time for me to explain in the time that we have came to pass. And I eventually got to a point where I was incredibly successful. I graduated from an Ivy League university, top of my class, went on to build numerous businesses, including an 8-figure business. But here was the really interesting thing. As a girl who'd grown up with this aspiration of wanting to just live in a nice house, drive a nice car, I had all of those things. I ended up with all of those things. I lived in a multi-million-dollar house. I drove my dream car. I have an incredible husband, a daughter who's an incredible girl. And yet I wasn't happy. And I couldn't figure it out. And it was actually the source of so much angst for me that how can I be living this dream life of mine? And yet I'm not happy. I have relatives who still live in mud huts with no running water and no electricity who would cut off an arm to have the life that I live. And it didn't make sense to me. And it took me being brought to my knees by a situation, because you know what they say about that which you fear most, you attract. And for me, my fear was, oh my gosh, like, what if I lose all of this? And I was brought to a situation where all of a sudden markets crashed, oil prices came tumbling down, and guess what? This company that I had built from nothing that was now an 8-figure in terms of annual revenues went from 8 figures one day to almost nothing, where I was literally considering declaring bankruptcy. And looking back on it, it's a funny thing to say now because it certainly didn't feel that way in the moment. That was the greatest gift that I'd ever been given. The greatest gift. As I lay on my bathroom floor feeling like my life was over, I thought to myself, okay, I have nothing to lose now. What is it that I want my life to mean? What is it that I want for myself? And what came to me was words that my father had actually spoken to me many times over the course of my life that I'd chosen to ignore. My father used to say to me all the time, Sandra, your success will have no meaning unless you bring others with you. And he spoke that to me based on words. There's a word in our language, Ubuntu. It's a philosophy, it's a way of being, which speaks to the fact that we are all connected. I hurt when you hurt. You hurt when I hurt. I am happy when you are happy. But I had forgotten that. I got carried away by this quest for more and more and more, thinking that my happiness would lie at the other end of more. If I could just make more money, if I could just have more shoes, if I could just get the next dream car. And as I checked off each of those milestones, it was empty. It was hollow. It took me a long time to get to the point where I realized that what was missing from my life truly was purpose. What was it that I was doing to fulfill the words that my father had said to me about bringing others with me? And it took me a really long time to get to the point where I figured out what my purpose was. And you know what I realized once I'd figured this out is that we all are looking for purpose in our lives. We all want to do something that means something in the world. What that looks like is going to be very different. For some people, it's speaking on world stages. For other people, it's just being the best mama that they can be to their family, raising their children the best that they know how. But for many of us women, we stop ourselves from going after the things that we dream of because, well, we don't think we're good enough, or society tells us that this should be the dream that we want for ourselves, even though we know deep down it's not. And you know what it takes for us to get to the point where we can get off the bench and step into the game of life? Do you know what those things are that it takes for us to step into our purpose? I'm going to share 4 things, 4 C's with you that it takes for you to get off the bench and get into the game of your life, where you can truly start to live a life that is aligned with who you are meant to be. Truly live a life that is aligned with your purpose. And I was inspired by Dan Sullivan because he talks about these 4 C's. And so I want to share those 4 C's with you. The first of the 4 C's is commitment. Commitment. That's a big word for many of us. We live in a world where we're hardly committed to anything. We look at things like divorce rates, we look at relationships, we look at jobs. Very few of us are actually committed to being the best that we can be in whatever it is that we're doing. But before we can even get to commitment, it starts with a decision. You have to make the decision about what do you want your life to mean? Who do you want to be? To be, not what you want to do in life, but who do you want to be? How do you want to show up as your best self, the best version of you? And when you make that decision about what is it that your heart truly wants for you, what is it that makes your heart come alive, that makes you feel so filled with purpose, so fulfilled, you make a decision to follow that path. Commitment. And you commit. In a world where, people treat their goals like it's Tinder, swipe right, swipe left. Oh yeah, maybe, maybe not. It's time for us to actually commit to our dreams, commit to stepping into our dreams. One of the most powerful acts of self-love that you can do is to be in integrity with who you want to be, to align yourself with what it is that you want, to commit to creating the life of your dreams. That starts with commitment. The second thing that is required for you to get off the bench and step into your life is courage. You need a whole boatload of courage. Because here's the wonderful thing that happens. So you've made your decision about who you want to be, how you want to show up in the world, the dreams that you have. And then the first thing that'll happen is your brain, whose number one job is to keep you alive all day, every day, will say, girl, I don't know if you want to do that. That could be dangerous. Oh, I don't know if you're ready. I don't know if you're good enough yet. And the reason your brain does that is because it's trying to keep you safe. It's trying to keep you in the zone of the things that you already know how to do because there's safety there. If I can predict what's going to happen, there's safety. But in the safety zone is where your dreams go to die. When you stay in your comfort zone is the graveyard of our dreams. You have to move beyond the comfort zone for you to step into the life that you dream of. And that takes courage. Too many of us are afraid of that 4-letter F word, fail. Because somehow we think that that's a death sentence. We think that somehow that's a measure of who we are. And it's time for us to switch how we see failure. Instead of seeing failure as failure, instead to just see it as feedback of things that didn't work. Oh, okay, now I know that doesn't work. Now I can go try something else. But it takes courage for us to step into that. So the second is courage, commitment, and courage. The third thing that it takes for us to get off the bench and step into our dream life is to start to build our capability, our competence. Because here's the thing, so many of us are waiting until we feel good enough. We're waiting until, oh my gosh, one day I'll feel like I'm ready. So we spend our lives getting ready to get ready to get ready. And we never actually do the thing. Because we're afraid to step into that zone where maybe we don't quite know what we're doing. Maybe we feel like a beginner. But how do you get better at something unless you do it? If you think about it, we all came to this planet and we all didn't know how to do anything. We had to learn how to eat. We had to learn how to walk. We had to learn how to tie our shoelaces. We had to learn how to ride a bike, how to drive a car. And it all came from practice. And so what is it that happens to us when we're grown-ups now, where we feel like, no, school ended or learning new things ended when we're in high school. I'm done. I don't want to learn any new things. The only way that you get to step into your dream life is to continually challenge yourself, to continually learn, to continually grow. And so the third thing is building up your capability, building up your competence. Because the fourth thing is confidence. When you have competence, you feel confident. But even when you have competence, it's still easy. I know so many people who are so good at what they do, who still have that sneaky little bit of imposter syndrome creep up. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are to be better than everybody else? Who do you think you are to shine so bright? And so you know what we do? We play small. I don't want to shine too bright. I don't want to make other people feel uncomfortable. I'll just stay over here, just kind of being mediocre, kind of being average, because then everybody else will be comfortable with me. It takes confidence for you to step into your dream. It takes confidence for you to believe in yourself and believe that you are worthy. You are worthy to be, to do, to have whatever it is that you dream of. But for you to have that confidence, it's also about how you speak to yourself, the words that you say to yourself. We live in a world that is all too happy to knock people down, crab mentality. Don't want anyone to rise too high. Let's build them up so we can knock them down. And so you have to be your own best cheerleader. You have to be the one who believes in yourself beyond everybody else. And how do you create more confidence for yourself? It actually starts with the words that you say to yourself, your self-talk. I bet for most of you here, if I was to stand guard at your thoughts in a day, the things you say to yourself, you would not say that to maybe even your worst enemy. But we are our worst enemy. We are our worst bully. We use our words as weapons against ourselves to knock ourselves down. And so what I want you to do instead is to use the power of your words to build yourself up. What are the words that you can say that affirm who you are, that affirm what you are worthy of, that affirm your belief in yourself and in the power of your dreams? And so that's the fourth of the C's, is confidence. And do you know why we feel imposter syndrome? Do you know why many people who are amazing at what they do, but they're like, I don't know that I'm good enough? It's because most days we compare our worst with somebody else's best. We're afraid that, oh my gosh, if I just put myself out there, people will realize that I'm not perfect. And so we stop ourselves. We feel like imposters because we're not perfect. But oh my gosh, what a boring world it would be if everybody was perfect. And I wonder if you would allow yourself to show your imperfections and to be imperfectly perfect. And to allow yourself in the process to step into your life, to step into your dreams. And so those 4 C's that are going to help you get off the bench and get into your life, into your dream life, is commitment. Committing to be the best version of you. It's courage. It takes courage to step into the life that you want. The third is capability. You always have to be a student, always building up those skills, always being okay with having a beginner's mind. And then confidence. Believing in yourself and using the words to yourself that affirm the incredible human being that you are. Stop asking yourself, am I good enough? Good enough for who? Because remember, there was a day and a time when what you know now, you didn't know. And so think about all the people that you can help with what you now know, who are looking for somebody like you to help them step into the best version of who they are meant to be. Stop sitting on the bench of your life. Stop being a spectator in the play that is the life story of you. Take the pen. Write your own story. Be the director, the producer, the main actor. Stop playing a supporting role in the incredible story of your life.